Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a shocking, real-world case that is absolutely going to flip your perspective on workplace hustle. We're always told to go the extra mile, right? To be the ultimate team player. Well, we're looking at a scenario where taking on extra responsibilities didn't lead to a promotion, but to an unthinkable tragedy and a very real, very heavy prison sentence. It's an intense topic for sure, but an absolutely crucial one for anyone navigating today's high-pressure work environments. So let's dive right into this jarring paradox. Is excessive hard work a sin? It sounds totally counterintuitive, doesn't it? It goes against literally everything we're taught about dedication and grit. But as we'll see from the source material today, when your extra effort ends up masking a massive systemic failure, the answer to that question becomes a resounding and honestly chilling yes. Just picture this unbelievable contrast. We are looking at a kindergarten homeroom teacher. During a horrific fire, she repeatedly charged into the flames, desperately trying to save her students. To the public, she was a tragic hero, no question. Yet, the legal reality handed this hero a devastating 6-year prison sentence. How on earth does someone doing their absolute best become a convicted criminal? To wrap our heads around this cognitive dissonance, we're going to deconstruct the tragedy step by step. We'll look at exactly why she got 6 years, how her diligence became a risk silencer, how part-time roles hide system loopholes, why the law values prevention over redemption, and finally, why strict boundaries are the true mark of professionalism.
Okay, starting with part 1, why the tragic hero got 6 years. Let's look closely at the terrifying reality of what happened and the public's immediate visceral reaction to the court's ruling.
In the embers of this horrific fire, 13 young lives were tragically lost. It's just an unfathomable tragedy. And in the wake of this disaster, the public's focus naturally shifted to the homeroom teacher. But here's the catch. She wasn't just their teacher. She was actually acting as a part-time dorm manager for these kids too. And that dual role? That is exactly where this massive systemic failure begins. The public was totally outraged by her sentence. The overwhelming sentiment out there was, hey, since she wasn't the arsonist and she did everything she physically could to save them, this law is way too harsh. People saw her desperate rescue attempts as absolute proof that she was just a victim of terrible circumstances, definitely not a criminal deserving 6 years behind bars. But, well, the law operates a bit differently. Moving to Section 2. Diligence became a risk silencer. The law actually looks right past that warm, emotional illusion of good intentions to examine the deeper chain of responsibility. The crucial takeaway here is that her excessive effort literally acted as a silencer. By saying yes to being both the homeroom teacher and the dorm manager, she inadvertently created a dangerous barrier. She was using her own energy, her own physical body, to cover up severe structural shortages at the school. By doing the work of two entirely different, demanding roles, she silenced the very real alarm bells that should have been ringing about the system being desperately under-resourced. Let's shift gears to Section 3, how part-time work masks system loopholes. This is where we look at the structural mechanics of the tragedy from a management perspective. From that management perspective, her diligence acted as a silencer in 3 specific ways. And listen closely, because these are 3 workplace violation scenarios you absolutely must say no to. First, overlapping duties. You literally can't be in 2 places at once, so overlapping safety roles guarantees a regulatory failure at the worst possible moment. Second, creating a false illusion of smooth operations. When you work endless unpaid overtime, management uses that as an excuse to avoid hiring the dedicated staff they urgently need. And third, using personal heroism to dissolve management risks. If you're ever asked to play the hero to patch a failing system, you are stepping right into a massive liability trap. We have to remember this fundamental truth. Human energy is strictly limited. Professional division of labor doesn't just exist to make things efficient. It exists so people can cover each other's blind spots. A healthy organization actually relies on operational friction to expose when they are understaffed. By trying to be this one-person army, the teacher completely erased that friction. Without her overworking, the lack of safety personnel would have been glaringly obvious and could have been fixed before disaster struck. Which brings us to Section 4. The law values prevention over redemption. This perfectly explains the harsh reality of the justice system, which operates in a completely different paradigm from public sentiment. There is a massive disconnect here. The public felt the sentence was too heavy because they were entirely focused on the post-incident rescue, her good intentions, and her heroic motives. But the legal focus? It's completely different. Judges look at pre-incident negligence. They ask, were the preemptive safety duties fulfilled? The law honestly doesn't care how brave you were after the fire started. It cares whether you did your actual job to stop the fire from starting in the first place. As the source text starkly points out, 13 lives cannot be offset by reactive heroism. The core of the negligence here is that, as a dorm manager, her primary, overriding duty was to prevent the disaster. Because she was stretched way too thin across 2 jobs, she failed that primary duty. Her excessive effort unwittingly made her an accomplice to a catastrophic systemic failure. Now, moving to our final section, strict boundaries mean true professionalism. We really need to rethink what it means to be a dedicated employee today. Hustle culture tells us to just say yes to everything, but as we're seeing, that mindset carries a deep, dangerous liability. When your individual struggle and overtime are just being used to fill institutional potholes, it carries this tragic, original sin. Now, this sin isn't born of malice, not at all. It's born from an ignorance of our own human limitations and a highly dangerous disregard for structural safety baselines. By quietly fixing the system's flaws with your own burnout, you are actively preventing the system from fixing itself. So what is true professionalism? It's not just self-sacrifice. It is the strict adherence to daily job boundaries. Refusing an irrational overload isn't you being lazy. It's a profound display of professional reverence for your actual job duties. And here's the key. When responsibilities are blurred, you must formally communicate your limits to management in writing. An honest, documented admission of, I cannot do this safely, is the only way to legally protect yourself and force a broken system to acknowledge its flaws before people get hurt. Ultimately, that 6-year sentence is accountability for lost lives. It represents the bloody, real-world weight of the phrase, job responsibilities. Think about it. If this teacher had insisted on clear boundaries, if she had formally communicated that the school needed dedicated dorm staff and simply refused the dual role, the management loopholes would have been exposed early. Sure, a staffing crisis would have happened, but 13 children might still be alive today. I want you to burn this powerful warning from the source material into your memory. Don't let your diligence become a hotbed for risk. Your overwork, your desire to just be a team player and hide the company's shortages, it might just be paving the way for a disaster. You aren't protecting the company. You're hiding its liabilities. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own professional boundaries right now. Look at your workload. In your own career, are you acting as a true professional, holding the line with formal boundaries? Or are you just a silencer, using your own stress and burnout to mask a dangerously broken system? The ultimate cost of being a people pleaser at work isn't just a burnout. As we've seen, it can be immense legal liability. Protect your boundaries, protect yourself. Thank you for joining me for this explanator, and I'll catch you in the next one.